Christmas, didn't have a really big story, and then suddenly Jim comes back in the studio and we had this amazing story.
We saved it for him.
Yeah, we did. Alex Crook, actually, I could see the irony on his face.
I noticed that you didn't really say much for about an hour and a half, by the way.
Well, I couldn't really get a word in, to be fair. And when I did, actually, a Man United fan came on and tried to blame me.
I heard that.
Tried to blame me, but do you know, like, no, does anyone take any joy in what's happening at Manchester United? I mean, look, we've all been really critical because we expect better from a top manager, and this obsession with wanting to play with a back five, no flexibility in his vocabulary of coaching. I just found that stunning. Look, if I went back in and put my boots back on again, you've got to be able to adapt. You wander into, if you wandered into who plays, I mean, just look at a team at the moment, let's say Palace, whoever takes over from Glasner, because obviously he's a man probably in the running for this job. The next manager coming in is probably not going to rip it all up, is he, and start again. He's just going to go with the five. So, I don't know whether these questions were even asked of the Amorim when he went in. And they tried to push for the players that he wanted. It's been an enormous amount of money. They did back him. I felt that he did improve the group. With the front of the team was definitely better, but not seeing enough improvement in the 12 months that he was there. I think how many games did they win? 15 matches they won. Simply not enough.
Well, they lost 2 of the last 14. They're 8 points better off than they were at this stage last season. They've only lost 1 of the last 7 away from home. They've looked pretty solid at the back despite actually a lack of clean sheets. They've got the 4th best attack in the country, the 3rd best XG, the 8th best XG against, and the 5th best for expected points. The truth is he had 2 transfer windows. They signed 6 frontline players. They were trying to turn the squad around. If you were told when you came into the football club that you got 3 years to turn it around, and he'd told you that no matter what happens he's going to play with a back 3, you would have expected them to have invested heavily in the areas of the team that were required to play that system. He was told in November that they were going to bring forward some of their summer plans for recruitment into January. They told him over Christmas they were not going to do that. That's when he fell out with Jason Wilcox, and that is why
But
he
it
ended up
sounds
being
as though you
fired.
think this is a harsh decision,
Yes.
if I can say the word.
So Sam, if you're in the boardroom, you're not sacking him then? You're not with Jason Wilcox on this? You think that Manchester United done really well?
Well, no, I don't think Manchester United done very well, but I think they've done a lot better than they did last season. They did a lot better than what they did at this stage last season. And I think if you look at it over the long term, this is a club with a real problem that needs serious long-term strategy and investment. Do I think necessarily that Ruben Amorim was the right appointment and the right strategy? No, but once you've made that decision, then you've got to stick with it, you've got to invest in it, and you've got to make sure that you do everything in your power to make it a success. After 13 months and 2 transfer windows, when you brought in Patrick Dorgu and a couple of forwards, one of which is untested in the Premier League, not enough for me. And also, the other thing I'll turn around and say about this is that I'm a little bit concerned about Ineos. The idea that they have already come in, they've removed Eric Ten Hag, they bought in Ruben Amorim, they bought Dan Ashworth in at great cost, absolutely huge cost, and they waited desperately for him to be the technical director, then ignored his advice and fired him within 5 months of him being in the job. I mean, let's ask ourselves the real question. Are the people making the decisions at Manchester United the right people to be the custodians of the club?
I think that's a fair question, because it does feel it's just as dysfunctional as it's ever been there.
It is, but then again, okay, so I'm watching the game. So let's look back at the game they win against Newcastle. And I'm watching the 2 midfield players. So if I'm playing again, I'm in a back 4, and my 2 midfield players end up out on the wing, there's something seriously wrong. Because I'm expecting Cunha on the left-hand side to at least engage, at least come back and do something defensively. Now,
you're focusing on a micro problem of a game. But the macro problems at Manchester United are much bigger.
No, but when you look at it, and you don't... Look, I haven't gone into management, and I haven't gone into coaching, and I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, okay, these are the basics that I'm going to be telling my team to do. They won't go out onto that pitch not prepared with me stitching information in. They're looking at each other on the pitch. Where do I go from here? Cunha, what do I do? Do I go back and follow the fullback? Luke Shaw comes into midfield. No, go out to fullback. Be the fullback and be the winger when we're out of possession. You tuck back inside of me, Cunha. Block that pass for me. Instead, you've got midfield players out wide. These are the basics, Sam. It's not right.
I understand all of that, but look at the squad that he's got to work with. I mean, look, I was there on.
What about the players he let go? Rashford allowed to go. What about?
He wasn't the first person to fall out with Rashford.
Anthony.
He wasn't the first.
So what was it? Why couldn't he work with this talented group?
I don't know.
I would look at myself and say, in some way, I'm getting it wrong if I can't work with that amount of talent.
Well, do you think that Anthony was worth £80 million? Because that's not what you were saying on the White and Jordan show.
Not at all. He wasn't worth that kind of money, but it was,
okay, so
he was due an opportunity.
Who bought him?
Yes, but you've got to work with what you've got.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? That is the issue. The recruitment and the scouting hasn't been good enough for a very long period of time, and that is a part of the reason why Manchester United find themselves in. It's not solely down to Ruben Amorim, but he is not blameless, and I accept that. But I think, unfortunately, Manchester United have this habit of taking one step forward and then several steps back.
Well, taking a step back is what they might well be doing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, at least in the sense that he is returning to Old Trafford, it feels. More on that as soon as we get it. You're tuning in to Kickoff live on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget that with Now, you can stream all the Sky Sports action flexibly, like West Ham against Nottingham Forest live tonight. Search Now Sports.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
Hi, just leaving work now. Sorry it's a bit loud. Basically, so I was thinking we could get Mackey's tonight. Had a Big Mac on my mind all day, and delivery fee on the app is now from 99p. So, you in? Of course you are. Love you. Bye.
Exclusively on the McDonald's app. 18+. Service fee and small order fee may apply. Participating restaurants. Serving times and T's and C's apply.
As you can hear from my voice, I'm in a state of high acceleration. Yes, I am positively beside myself. The reason that I can barely contain my enthusiasm is the IKEA winter sale. 4 weeks of incredible bargains. The inexpressible thrill of finding precisely the right thing at the right price. Sale now on IKEA. The wonderful everyday.
It's another day at Screwfix, and Sir Mo Farah is still getting to grips with things.
So, Mo, with Sprint Delivery, we get the order to them in as little as 20 minutes. Mo?
Mo?
Done. He was on the 18th floor.
Nice work. But, you know we use delivery riders, right?
Oh, now you tell me. Sprint it in as little as 20 minutes. Screwfix. No stopping you. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply.
At Betfair, we believe that to play different, you need the right tools. The boots, the world-class tactics, the science-backed nutrition. The pros have their tools, and with Betfair, so do you. Our safer gambling tools work just like the right pair of boots, designed to keep you on top of your game. Open the Betfair app to equip yourself so you can bet at your best. Betfair. Play different.
18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Incredible scenes here at the Village Hotel's Pub and Grill. Fans are taking their place in the fan zone with stadium-style seating, amazing views on huge screens, and we're underway. Lovely bit of dribbling there as she tackles the burger stack. Now they're getting down the wings. Sticky barbecue. Unbelievable. Oh, and he's hit the bar. And it's there. His favourite ice-cold beer. What a result.
Catch every game live in the Pub and Grill at Village. Get in. Find out more at villagehotels.com.
The beautiful game doesn't stop at the final whistle, and neither does the sun.co.uk. So you can go beyond the last kick with expert insight into the big moments and in-depth analysis of tactics, plus the latest breaking news and exclusives. And you can get it whenever and wherever you want it. To keep up with every kick, just head to thesun.co.uk. It's unbeatable.
We all fantasize about our perfect home, watching the big game cozied up in the snug. Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing around like football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Kick off live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Talk Sport with Bostic. If
If you're looking for a professional-grade sealant that offers technologically advanced performance, choose Bostik Pro Sealants.
With your sports headlines, I'm Charlie Pritchard. Good evening. TalkSport understands Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Michael Carrick have been approached by Manchester United as potential candidates for the interim job till the summer. Darren Fletcher's currently at the helm for Burnley tomorrow night. And remember, you can listen to Fletcher's first game in charge live exclusively on TalkSport. Liam Rosenior says he'll give everything to bring success to Chelsea after being confirmed as the club's new manager. The 41-year-old's agreed a 6-year deal at Stamford Bridge. And Rangers can move up to second in the Scottish Premiership with a victory over managerless Aberdeen. Livingston against St Mirren has been postponed because of the freezing weather.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the TalkSport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the TalkSport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to Kickoff live on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over gambleaware.org. And tonight we are here at the London Stadium as we bring you West Ham against Nottingham Forest. The hosts looking to close the gap on the team that are just one place above them in the table. It is a relegation 6-pointer. The team news was announced earlier. Let's bring you a reminder of that with your match commentator. It is Sam Matterface.
That means you get to talk to me for a minute. It means I don't have to talk to Martin, which is great news. 4 changes for West Ham United from the defeat at Wolves. Ariola is the goalkeeper. Walker Peters, Mavropanos, Todibo and Skulls the back 4. Socek and Fernandez, the 2 holders in midfield, with Bowen, Paquetá and Somerville behind. Castellanos in attack. I'm told it's Castellanos, apparently. Okay. He's Argentine. As far as Nottingham Forest are concerned, 2 changes. Sells is back in goal. Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams the back 4. Dominguez and Anderson. Hutchinson, Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi back in the team today, and Igor Jesus leading the line. We had a bit of a ding-dong in the break there about Manchester United as well.
Still going on.
Still going on. Still going on. We're friends, really, as you know.
I was going to say, I'd like to think that we know animosity once kickoff at least comes around. Anyhow, let's focus very much on the West Ham side of things, shall we? It's time to look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The Big Preview on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Delighted to say, joining us here at the London Stadium, it is a football reporter for The Guardian, Jacob Steinberg. How are you, Jacob?
Good, thank you.
Let's talk West Ham then, in particular that defeat at the weekend. My goodness, you couldn't have got a more embarrassing defeat, really, for them to be the first side to lose to Wolves 3-0 like they did. And we talked about it earlier on. It wasn't a lucky win for Wolves because, one, they were very good themselves, but West Ham were just so bad.
Yeah, it was obviously a game where West Ham thought this was the moment that they would get close to Nottingham Forest, but instead it was so lifeless, gutless, tactically so poor. Defending was absolutely dreadful, but that's been the case all season. To be honest, I didn't find it to be that much of a surprise. I thought the way that West Ham have played this season, it was just you saw it coming. You saw that performance. You've seen that performance so many times from them this season, and I know that Wolves have had such a difficult time, but felt like West Ham are a good side to play if you're having that.
But you just mentioned it there. I mean, having seen Forest lose hours before, you'd have thought West Ham would have been pumped for that game, and they've had the opportunities because Forest have lost their last 4 in a way to try and claw back at them, but they've not really been able to do it. No,
that sums up the club really at the moment. It's directionless, it's lifeless. You know, this isn't just this is something that's been coming for 3 or 4 years. You know, it started probably towards the end of David Moyes' time, where a bit of the momentum ran out despite the Conference League win. The recruitment's not been good enough, and the chopping and changing of managers with no real purpose behind that. They go from one style of manager to another. There doesn't seem to be any vision coming from the top of the club. So Nuno's struggling at the moment. He's not made any real impact, but ultimately this comes from the top, and that's why fans here are so upset with the way the club's being run.
There are new faces in this January window now. They brought in 2 forwards, so What do you know about them? What do you think they can offer for West Ham?
The striker they bought from Portugal, Pablo, is meant to be very highly rated. He's a young striker who scored quite a few goals in Portugal this season. There are quite a few other clubs who are looking at him. They felt, though, that West Ham, some of them are saying West Ham might have overpaid a little bit, which maybe sums up a bit of the desperation here. The other striker who starts tonight, Castellanos, I mean, he's not had a great season in Italy. We've seen players come from Italy before and struggle in England. It'll be interesting to see that. Someone said to me earlier that he's a bit of an Arnautovic that might get the fans going a little bit. It's like the style of play that he's got. So we'll have to see. But it's going to be really difficult for them to come in because neither of them obviously experienced English football before.
Jacob, he's big and strong and tall, Pablo Felipe, who's been playing for Gil Vicente in Portugal. Very good in the air. He scored a few goals, as you've mentioned. But who's doing the recruitment at West Ham now?
It's been very much led by Nuno. I mean, Pablo is a player who shares the same agent as Nuno, Jorge Mendes, so there's the link there. Castellanos as well was a player that Nuno specifically picked out, and this is another issue that crops up at West Ham time and time again. Who does the recruiting? It was a mix under Lopetegui and Tim Steidten, who was the former technical director. Potter was there was battles over which players he would get. This time they've gone with the manager
here as well, didn't we, for a little while?
Yeah, obviously he's now at Manchester United. He was given one window more or less to make his mark, and it just didn't really work for him. So that really sums up why it's such a mishmash of a squad that they've got here.
He played with his dad, didn't he? I think he played with Pablo's dad, Nuno Espirito Santo.
So there's a link there.
Yeah.
Okay. But bear in mind, this is his first window for Nuno Espirito Santo. There has been talk about possibly, even if he was to lose tonight, that he could lose his job. Could you see that conceivably happening, or do you think he deserves at least this window to try and build something?
I think the fact that they've brought in players who've been specifically picked out by him, and that they've spent about 50 million on those players, on those two players, and more probably to come in, probably Adama Traore, would kind of suggest that no, he wouldn't go if they lose this game. Equally, if they lose tonight against Nottingham Forest, his former club, it's hard. These things could change very quickly in football. You never know how the board might react to that.
And having Adama Traore back in, again, a player that he knows well, might be a bonus for Nuno Espirito Santo. But that doesn't also mean now with these two new signings that Callum Wilson's future appears to be away from West Ham. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it broke yesterday that he was in talks to cancel his or potentially leave the club, wanted to leave. He was a player who divided opinion when they signed him in the summer. It was seen as a sign of a lack of ambition. They were going for a player who'd been released on a free by Newcastle, but actually on a pretty cheap deal, incentivised deal, a player who's got England experience and Premier League experience. He came in and he's won a few people over, scored 4 goals, but Nuno's never really seemed to take to him. There have been certain games where he hasn't even brought him on when they've started without a recognised striker, so some strange tactical choices there. And the signing of these two strikers probably points to, again, the fact that Nuno doesn't really want him. He was meant to be in the squad today, from what I understand of it, but all signs point to him probably leaving the club, and another player had to be called in at late notice.
Yes, we understand that he's trying to get his contract cancelled, I think. But he does fall out with players, doesn't he? Where's James Ward-Prowse?
Yeah, well, James Ward-Prowse was with Nuno last season.
And where was he then? He didn't get a look in there either,
Yeah,
did
he was on loan from West Ham, having been bombed out by Lopetegui, and then he came back under Graham Potter, having not made much of an impression under Nuno. As soon as Nuno came in, he got rid of him. He's not been in a matchday squad under Nuno since he came in. I don't think Ward-Prowse has been a great player for West Ham. It's probably too much money spent on him, too much. And he's really struggled.
When you're desperate for goals and you need chances, he creates from set pieces like nobody else. He's also a senior pro, and he is not someone who's going to disrupt the group, is he?
No, he's popular. He's experienced. I struggle to take the argument seriously that players like Guido Rodriguez and Andy Irving are more useful players, useful options at Premier League level than James Ward-Prowse. I don't think he's been a great player for West Ham, but in this situation I'm surprised by it. I think the fact that he was regularly in Gareth Southgate's England squad shows the type of character that he is, and he'd probably be quite useful in this situation.
Jacob, obviously it's a perilous position that West Ham find themselves in right now. There's obviously a second half really of this season to come, although some might say they've only won 3 games all season, so to see them possibly winning 3, 4, whatever it is to get them out of the mire that they find themselves in might be a tall order. But this club in the Championship, how would it survive? Could it survive quite easily?
I think this club in the Championship would really struggle. I think that the stadium remains such a big issue here. I would find it very hard to believe that you'll see sell-out crowds here next season, 60,000 people coming in. I really don't see that happening. I think it would become quite depressing here, even more so than it has been over the last year or so. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to find themselves potentially if they were to go down this season. I think they might end up in League One.
Wow.
They can't even sell out Take That in the summer.
Which shocks me, I must say.
I can imagine. But one of the words I hear all the time, and Nat, you would have been here a number of times, is that people say the atmosphere here is toxic. I haven't experienced that for a little while now. It feels to me more as if it's apathetic towards what's going on here. Is that the sense that you're getting from the supporters?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you go back to the start of the season when they lost 5-1 at home to Chelsea, getting humiliated at home against one of your London, not rivals, but it's a big London derby, and it was just apathetic, as you say. The stadium they were 3-1 down at half time. The stadium emptied out really quickly, and that's kind of what it's been like. I mean, there was the Brentford game where the fans staged most of them didn't turn up, and the atmosphere that night was just lifeless. By the end, there was basically nobody in here when they lost 2-0 at home to Brentford. That's really the sad thing about it, is that it doesn't feel heartbreaking that they might be going down. I think for a lot of supporters, it's more just people are shrugging their shoulders and going, yep, this is where it's been going for quite a long time.
Well, Jacob, thank you very much for your insight. It's been really, really interesting. Thank you very much. That's Jacob Steinberg there, the football reporter for The Guardian. And that was all thanks to Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
The Big Preview on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Well, we are 15 minutes away from kick-off then, ahead of this huge game at the bottom end of the Premier League, and it's fair to say there aren't that many fans here in the stadium right now. Quite a lot of empty seats. But you are tuning in to kick-off live on TalkSport with Enterprise, Rent a Car, whatever it is, they're here for it.
Kick-off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Imagine a place where you can escape for a day. Get immersed in a world of rooms, inspiration and expertise, where you can laze in luxury accommodation. And kids can feast from 95 pence. Tickets are free to everyone and include all the attractions. You just imagine a day out at IKEA. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
It's another day at Screwfix, and Mo Farah is still getting to grips with things.
So, Mo, with Sprint Delivery, we get the order to them in as little as 20 minutes. Okay, Mo?
Mo?
Done. He was on the 18th floor.
Nice work. But, we use delivery riders, right?
Oh, now you tell me.
Sprint it in as little as 20 minutes. Screwfix, no stopping you. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply.
Incredible scenes here at the Village Hotel's Pub and Grill. Fans are taking their place in the fan zone with stadium-style seating, amazing views on huge screens, and we're underway. Lovely bit of dribbling there as she tackles the burger stack. Now they're getting down the wings. Sticky barbecue, unbelievable. Oh, and he's hit the bar. And it's there. His favourite ice cold beer. What a result. Catch every game live in the Pub and Grill at Village. Get in. Find out more at villagehotels.com.
He's having a blinder. He's clipped the post. He's looking formidable. Then
Substitution.
his game might be over, but yours isn't. With Betfair's Safe Sub, your bet simply rolls onto the player coming on. Playing a different league with Betfair.
Valid on selected leagues and markets only. Applies to singles, multiples and bet builder bets on qualified player outcome selections. Does not apply to odds boost. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Hi, just leaving work now. Sorry it's a bit loud. Basically, so I was thinking we could get Mackey's tonight. Had a Big Mac on my mind all day, and delivery fee on the app is now from 99p. So, you in? Of course you are. Love you. Bye.
Exclusively on the McDonald's app. 18 plus. Service fee and small order fee may apply. Participating restaurants. Serving times and T's and C's apply.
Oh, he's really opened up the Sun newspaper there, Jim.
No question, Clive. Straight in the middle and right into the free pull-out goals.
Goals, yes. The ultimate football coverage with the best expert writers. In-depth tactical analysis. Unrivaled coverage from every league and all the latest football action.
Think you've said it all there, Clive.
Sorry, Jim.
Not to worry, I was reading my copy of Goals anyway.
Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday only in the Sun.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a tree, playing on the lawn.
We're playing railway football.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Kick off live on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like West Ham versus Nottingham Forest live today. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
The UK's #1 football experience.
Kick off live on TalkSport.
Some festive joy for Fulham. Sean Dyche is straight out of the dugout, the Nottingham Forest manager, to applaud the away support, but they are not happy.
It ain't good, and I don't know how Marinakis is feeling about this right now. If they finish 17th, right, and Nottingham Forest stay up, Sean Dyche gets sacked.
It comes back to Cherky, who's right footed shot, he's into the corner. It's a brilliant finish from Ryan Cherky.
Easily beaten Spurs at home, performed really well against Manchester City. But this season so far, Forest have really struggled with those smaller sides, or those sides that are struggling in the Premier League.
They lose 3 in a row, Forest 0, Everton 2.
You can't be that naive. People in the Premier League find different ways of activating, and Everton have done tonight, and fair play to them.
Going to be a 5th defeat in 6 for Sean Dyche and Nottingham Forest. Only 19 goals this season for Nottingham Forest. I would suggest that that's going to be a big problem unless they sort that out.
Goals equate to points. That's number one. So where do you get your goals from?
I'm not naive to this division. I've been in it a long time. That growth that you see, I think there was we scored 1 or 2 goals in the previous 6 games, now scored 13 in 13. Doesn't sound a change, but that's a big change.
Because a win and you're 7 points clear, you can breathe just a little bit.
You're listening to Kick-Off live on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. Tonight, Kick-Off is at the London Stadium for West Ham against Nottingham Forest, 2 teams that find themselves in 18th and 17th, respectively. We'll talk more about this game, but I'm going to cross to our commentator for this one, Sam Matterface, because he's got us some breaking news regarding Manchester United.
Yeah, TalkSport understands that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is closing in on a sensational return to Manchester United as the interim head coach for the rest of the season. It's something that we reported earlier on today, actually, here on TalkSport. He's got the support of several first-team players, including the captain Bruno Fernandes and Harry Maguire. It's thought that fellow club legends such as Rio Ferdinand and Gary Neville have also thrown their backing behind their former teammate. The Norwegian is a fan's favourite, obviously. He's a very nice bloke. We spent a lot of time with him. He did a very good job, actually, of galvanising the place the last time he stepped in as the interim. And he hopes that if he does well, then he would be considered again for the job full-time. As well as Solskjaer, Michael Carrick and Ruud van Nistelrooy have both been sounding out about the interim row. Another story that we brought you earlier on today. And there is some suggestion that maybe even Michael Carrick might join the coaching staff again until the end of the season as well. But that's still to be ratified. But as we understand it in the last few minutes, we've got a little bit more confirmation that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is closing in on a sensational return to be the interim head coach of Manchester United.
Well, he had a 51% win rate when he was last in charge as the permanent manager of Manchester United, in comparison to just the 32% that Ruben Amorim left the club yesterday, of course. Martin Keown is part of our commentary team here as well. Just a quick word on that news with regards to Solskjaer. I've seen some Manchester United fans talking about getting back to the United way. Every club seems to have a way. But I guess he might have the DNA within him to know a little bit more about how Manchester United fans will be feeling and wanting from their team.
Amorim had said, why are we listening to certain former players, and now it looks like they're going to embrace them.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's the right way to go, but they've got to show, they've got to get the results. Of course, they care deeply about the club, and I'm a big fan of big-name players going back to their clubs, understanding the culture and putting things in place. But it'll all come down to recruitment. And that's just part of the game that they're going to have to get. Whoever's going to be the new manager, there's got to get that element right to their football club.
Was that a come-and-get-me plea to Arteta?
Not at all.
All right, just check.
Not at all. No, not at all.
Let's move on to Nottingham Forest, shall we? Last season was such a brilliant season for them as they earned European football in the end. Edu left Arsenal, of course, to take over as his global football head of operations. they spent a lot of money in the summer to embrace the European season, but they've had 3 managers now, Sean Dyche being the third of the 3 this season. It hasn't really gone to plan. Was that always to be expected, that it was always going to be a tall order when you're having to deal with European football too?
Well, yeah, but I think it was more Postecoglou coming in. Nunes was a manager that I referred to Forest as the dirty dozen really last year. It was a lot of players who'd been at other clubs, hadn't quite worked out for them. You know, Alanga was in incredible form. The manager himself had been at Spurs. They'd all come together and they just went on this incredible run. And they just missed out in the Champions League. And then he falls out with the owner in the summer. And I think a lot of those players, we shouldn't underestimate the relationship they had with Nuno, and that hurt them. You know, tonight they're going to want to beat him, by the way. Postecoglou came in, and you know, it just went from bad to worse. And now I think Sean Dyche is the right man to steady the ship. He's not quite getting the results he did at the beginning. I expect them to stay up, and tonight represents a night when he now has to start taking control of his club and winning games for Forest. Never mind what's happening here at West Ham.
You obviously mentioned Ange Postecoglou and that ill-fated spell. How hard is it for players to adjust to different styles of football?
Do you know, when it's all changed at the football club, everybody wants stability. And I look back into the most successful periods of my career was when we had managers in situ for many years. It's the same message. It's stable. Things went wrong, dramatically wrong for those Forest players and their managers, and they're a little bit wounded. But I think there's more stability around Sean Dyche. I think that his work ethic, the way he is, he's very stable. It's the same message to the players, and that's why I think you're seeing some improvement. And that's that. You know, you want to be at a club where that happens. Now Nuno's come in, and he seems like we're talking about Callum Wilson there, with falling out with senior players. You're going to need those players at some point, but he's obviously wanting change. And let's see if he's made the right call. Really interested to see how their centre forward plays tonight.
Sam obviously made the valid point to Jacob Steinberg earlier on when he joined us about the James Ward-Prowse situation. He did have him on loan at Nottingham Forest, but didn't really use him last season. And now he's effectively been bombed out of this West Ham squad. But there is an effectiveness to Ward-Prowse that in a way, it's surprising that he's not involved.
Well, it's your worst nightmare, isn't it, when a manager doesn't use you and then turns up at your club, so that's what's happened to Ward-Prowse. I've always thought he's a really good technician, takes a great spot kick, when he takes these free kicks, makes things happen, did exceptionally well at Southampton. I thought he was one of the most ever underrated players there. It hasn't really worked for him. Maybe, I don't know, Nuno has got some issue with senior players. Why would he have? It seems bizarre. You're going to pick the best players. Maybe they've got a little bit more to say for themselves, and that doesn't sit well with him.
The teams are in the tunnel, by the way, and it is now filling up here at the London Stadium. Although I see the faces that you're pulling, there's still a lot of empty seats, it has to be said, as the teams make their way out to the familiar I'm Forever Blowing song that is always played out at West Ham games. It is a huge, huge match for the hosts, certainly. A win tonight will move them to within a point of safety. A defeat, though, would leave them 7 off 17th place as the teams do make their way out. And the fans sing. That iconic song. As you may have heard the jeers and boos from the travelling away support who have turned up in their numbers on this Tuesday evening, and it is a cold, cold night here.
Soucek's back into lineup. Fernandes will join him in the central midfield position. Somerville, Lewis Paquetá and Bowen's the 3. And there's a debut for Castellanos, who joined from Lazio only yesterday. 4 changes, which sees Toledo come back in with Soucek and Lucas Paquetá, and then that debut for Castellanos for West Ham. For Forest, just a 1 change for Sean Dyche's team, with Callum Hudson-Odoi coming to the selection and Bakwa dropping to the bench. So it's Sells in goal, 2 changes, sorry. Matt Sells returns in between the sticks. Aina, Milikovic, Morello and Williams is the back 4. Anderson, Dominguez the midfield 2. Hutchinson, Gibbs White and Hudson-Odoi the 3 down the front. Behind the front man in Igor Jesus. So he's got 1 goal in 19 league appearances. 9 Premier League games without a win now for West Ham. It's not going to be a happy London Stadium, you feel, unless they're able to produce a performance and a win. It's not been a happy time to be connected to West Ham these last few weeks. True wins in their last 13 league games. They've lost 8 and they have drawn 3. In that run of 9 Premier League games without victory, they've lost 5 and drawn 4, 14 points. Well, Forest on their own barren run, they've lost their last 4 league games, and Sean Dyche has never lost 5 Premier League games in a row. They just have 2 wins in 8, haven't won since they went to Anfield and beat Liverpool by 3 goals to 0. It seemed then that everything was going to be rosy, getting that victory against the Premier League champions. So we're moments away from kickoff here. It feels like a vital game in the Premier League. It's the only game tonight in the Premier League. We do have audio commentary of the African Cup of Nations. On Ivory Coast up against Burkina Faso, and Ivory Coast are leading by 2 goals to 0. We saw Algeria beat Congo in the last minute earlier today to get themselves through. So Sean Dyche is just shaking Nuno Espirito's hand. 4 wins in 12 games as Nottingham Forest head coach, 1 draw, 7 losses for Sean Dyche. Of course, he replaced Ange Postecoglou. It went Nuno, Ange Postecoglou, then Sean Dyche, and Nuno Espirito doesn't want to become a statistic that he doesn't want to follow him in his career, become the first man to manager to be replaced by 2 different clubs. So West Ham in a traditional kit, claret shirts, white shorts and claret and blue socks, whereas Nottingham Forest with all white strip and blue shorts. So the ball's down to the left hand side for the visitors in Nottingham Forest. It gives White searching down the centre.
I learned that ChatGPT works best with detailed prompts, but I hate typing them. So instead, I dig.
Earlier in the campaign, there's already rumours that Nuno might not last until the weekend's cup game if they lose tonight. Those kind of rumours leaking out are not good, are they? They've got the new striker Tati Castellanos in the side this evening. Another new striker on the bench. But they have to win, I think. That's probably long and short, they have to win.
Yeah, they certainly do. And there's the first few touches there for Tati Castellanos. He's found well by Somerville, who drove up the pitch. Castellanos cutting onto his right foot like it was going to maybe be the perfect debut. Then for a moment, it just slipped in behind the 2 defenders. Murillo wasn't tracking him. And West Ham have got the first corner of the game. Yeah, £25 million they spent on him. 2 goals in 12 appearances for Lazio in all competitions so far this season. The Argentinian, who's quite a streaky striker, but that might not be such a bad thing for West Ham, because if he can get 5, 6, 7 goals between now and the end of the season, that might prove very handy. Yep, certainly could. And they're looking for one now as Somerville with the in-swing. It's headed out easily in the end by Jesus. He'll give chase, but Scales gets there ahead of him, just lets it go out for a throw-in. After a good first few moments for Nottingham Forest, it's West Ham who now find themselves on the attack. Scales will take this throw-in. He'll find Paqueta, who comes short for it. Scales eventually forced all the way back though, and Fernandez will pick it up well inside his own half. That leads me nicely though, just to run you through the team news for this game. West Ham have made 4 changes from that disastrous 3-0 loss away at Wolves. Kilman's replaced by Todibo in defence. Potts and Magassa out of midfield for Soucek and Paqueta. And then Callum Wilson, who seems to be on his way out of West Ham, talks that maybe terminating his contract early with the club. He's obviously been replaced, as we've already mentioned, by Tati Castellanos. So West Ham's full lineup is as follows. Areola in goal, back four is Walker Peters, Todibo, Mavropanos and Scales, Soucek and Fernandez in the midfield with Bowen, Paqueta, Somerville all in behind Castellanos. For Forest, just 2 changes from their 3-1 loss to Aston Villa. John Victor picked up an injury in goal in that game, so Matt Sells returns to the starting lineup, and then Callum Hudson-Odoi is preferred to Dian Bakwa in attack. So their full lineup: Sells in goal, back four is Aina Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams, Dominguez and Anderson in the midfield, Hutchinson, Gibbs White and Hudson-Odoi all in behind Jesus, who is the starting striker for the Reds. West Ham on the attack. Walker Peters tries to cut the ball across for Jarrod Bowen. It's a little bit short in the end, and Forest will get possession. They're well inside their own defensive third. There was Walker Peters with some good pressing in the end. It's it out for a throw-in. West Ham fans, they've not had a lot to cheer about this season, of course, but they want to see moments like that early doors.
Yeah, they'll want to see moments like you say. They need to get the crowd behind them at the London Stadium. Of course, plenty's been made about the atmosphere, or maybe not quite the atmosphere, and whether it's a natural home for football and all those kind of things. Just having a look, a scan round the stands, it's capacity 60,000. I'd be surprised if there's 35 there tonight. It looks very, very empty from the shots we're seeing. Of course, people might be making their way to the seats right now, but it's all about, they need to get the fans on the side. It's amazing how quiet it is sometimes at London Stadium, but it gets very, very loud when things aren't going well.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's maybe a lot of toxicity around the club at the moment. A bit has been made about that. The teams above them, maybe just a bit more sort of united with the fans off the pitch as well as the team on the field. But there's a lot of resentment towards that West Ham board as it stands, not just for how the season's gone, but how the club's been run in recent years, really. I think most of the anger will be directed at the move from the Berlin ground that happened. But they've been there a while now. They're looking to get on the ball again now, which they do. 5 minutes gone at London Stadium. It's still goalless between West Ham and Forest as the forward pass looking for Somerville doesn't quite reach him. Aina sticks a foot in. It's out for a throw, which Scales takes. He finds Castellanos, who lets it run nicely. Somerville now up towards the edge of the area. Somerville goes for goal. It's a shot on target, albeit not a hard one in the end. For Matt Sells to save, but an opening there for West Ham.
Yeah, nice bit of interplay. The new man just glanced it on to Somerville. Popped up nicely in front of him, shot for goal, but as you say, straight to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, definitely a save that Matt Sells will expect to make every day of the week. Castellanos, I think it run nicely though. Milinkovic just got sucked in for Nottingham Forest and left themselves a little bit exposed in behind. But West Ham starting to purr a little bit better in this game. All the way back towards Tadibo again, who's the furthest man back, finds Fernandez just ahead of him. Scales is in space on the left side, he's asking for it as well. Fernandez tries to find him, but his pass is intercepted by Hutchinson. Great speed to get away from Fernandez as well, just can't keep it in the end. It's out for a throw and about halfway inside West Ham's half. They're still goalless in this one. Both sides have had some decent early attacks, but it's West Ham who've had the biggest chance of the game so far. Crescencio Somerville still looking to really prove himself in a West Ham shirt after making the move from Leeds United last season. £25 million signing. He's been in and out of the team at times, but he's finding himself starting at the moment as West Ham play themselves into a little bit of trouble. Nottingham Forest have got themselves a throw, and it's just in line with the 18-yard box. And there's some nerves creeping in and out the London Stadium. Can Forest make the most of this set piece? As the cameras focus on Edu, Nottingham Forest sporting director. It's been reported he's under quite a bit of pressure at the moment in Nottinghamshire, where that results have gone this season. As Aina takes a long throw and it's high and looping up towards the edge of the box. Bowen gets up really well. He finds Castellanos and now Somerville holding it up. Fernandez and now Paqueta, who's playing in the 10 this evening, where he should be, as the fans will have made that point. Castellanos can't keep that pass in, and it will be another Forest throw in. This one a lot further back. Now here's Murillo, and after 7.5 minutes gone, Forest looked like they were going to be the more danger of the two sides, but West Ham have started settling a little bit better.
Yes, they had that shot through Somerville, but for a team who've kind of been a bit out of form, haven't they? Forest coming to this game, they lost the last two on the road. Things already pressure on Sean Dyche. You mentioned Edu has come under fire for defeats in a row, yet they're popping the ball around quite nicely, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly has. Murillo finds Hudson-Odoi, one of the two changes for Forest for this evening. No way through, so he goes back towards Murillo. Now Hudson-Odoi again. Anderson in space now, up towards the edge of the box. Anderson goes for the cross. It's headed up in the air though by Mavropanos. Anderson then gets the touch before Souček tries to get it clear. Once again though, it's Forest who pick the ball up. Hudson-Odoi up against Souček, tries the ball through the middle. It finds Gibbs-White. Now back with Nico Williams. Hudson-Odoi again on the left side. West Ham have players back, but Hudson-Odoi goes down the outside again. He's still looking for the next pass before he finds Murillo's a bit further back. He'll think about the cross before then finding Hudson-Odoi once more. Now Nico Williams, who has space to get the cross in from deep. It comes in, headed again by Mavropanos. Jesus picks it up, turns Scales nicely as well, over towards the right side, tries to dig out across, a good block, and Somerville can perhaps get away now for the hands. In fact, he can't, he loses it straight away. Dominguez picks up, tries to thread it through for Jesus, under pressure from Scales, and Taribo eventually wins the ball. It's out for a throw, and getting a little bit scrappy though there for West Ham, just couldn't get it clear.
Yes, and well, that has often been the case this season, hasn't it? And well, in this fixture last season, when they conceded to Morgan Gibbs-White after 10 minutes, it was Alphonse Areola basically passing to the Nottingham Forest playmaker on the edge of the 18-yard box. Forest perhaps started to set up ball into the box. Souček in the side, he gets it away. Murillo's picks the ball about 30 yards from West Ham's box, and Contatc can attack.
Yeah, he certainly can. Dashes in now. Nico Williams on the edge of the box will go for the strike as well. What a save that is from Areola. Another player who's maybe come under pressure this season at West Ham, but what a save that was. Nico Williams with the curling effort. Just seeing from the replay as well, a fingertip save from Areola, because that's going in the top corner.
Yeah, it's a good save, isn't it? It's one of those, the ones that top players dream of, where he just opens up for Nico Williams, a right footer on the left, cutting inside. Good goalkeeping by Areola, springing to his left and clawing it away.
Yeah, fantastic stop from the Frenchman there. It has led to this corner though now for Forest. It will be the in-swinger taken by Amari Hutchinson. And it comes now as well, difficult one to defend. Areola comes out, gets the punch, it's out to Williams again. He'll go for the strike this time. Doesn't get it on target. It's on his right foot again, but the angle slightly against him as he's closed down. Can't find the target, and West Ham survive.
Yeah, he clearly fancied it this evening, and Nico Williams again, it came to him quite nicely. Mentioned we know he's a right footer playing on the left hand side. He kind of had to get himself round the ball there, couldn't quite do it. He's got one goal so far this season. Probably come closest to getting a second of all the players so far. We're seeing it again, reverse angle on this occasion, that earlier shot. Areola doing really well to his left. Yeah, fantastic stuff from Areola. As you mentioned, just the one goal this season for Nico Williams. That came against Burnley at Turf Moor back in the middle of September. And he's come the closest so far by a mile to opening the scoring at the London Stadium. 11 minutes gone though, and it's still goalless between these two sides. As West Ham have themselves a throw-in as they look to respond to that bit of pressure from Nottingham Forest. Throwing forward from Walker Peters, eventually won by Dominguez. Souček then gets the next one before Bowen tries to flick it behind him. Anderson picks it up nice before Williams goes for the first time ball over the top, looking for the run of Jesus. It's all the way through though in the end to Areola. This of course being the only game taking place this evening in the Premier League. There was also one other game taking place on our service. Rangers fresh from that 3-1 victory in the Old Firm. They're hosting Aberdeen. They're 1-0 up as well in that game. Fernandez has taken the lead. And that's the only other game to bring you news of this evening. It goes through to Areola, goes for the short through ball to Fernandez. Now Taribo. Again, another one of the changes made for this West Ham team. A lot been made about Max Kilman and sort of the mistakes that he's made this season, and he's finally withdrawn from the team. Yeah, he's struggled with form and confidence, hasn't he, Kilman? And he's maybe been a bit of a fall guy at times as well. He's been the mainstay, whether they've played 3 at the back, 4 at the back, he's always seemed to be in it. And at times, I think he's been so worried about what's going on around him, he's not been able to concentrate on his own game. And in recent times, he's just looked a bit passive, you have to say. Ollie Scales wasn't passive there. Looks like he's played it against Amari Hutchinson, West Ham's first corner kick of the game. We're going to see it again. I think that's a good call by the official. It looks like it comes off Hutchinson's right foot and out for a corner kick. Yep, it certainly is. That's to appeal for it there. Ollie Scales, another player who came in for pressure. A lot of that coming from the mistake against Fulham, which led to the winning goal for Raul Jimenez in that game. But it will now come in from Crescencio Somerville towards the near post. It's flicked on and it's in. It looks like it's an own goal. I think Murillo maybe got the final touch. Cameras focusing on him. But after a good start from Forest, where they nearly took the lead just a few moments ago, it's West Ham who strike first in this 6-pointer. Yeah, ball into the near post. Run came from Thomas Souček. Lucas Paquetá was in there as well. It does look like Murillo got the final touch. The camera zooming in on the Brazil centre half. No complaints from Forest of blocking or anything like that. Just looks like an old-fashioned own goal, doesn't it? We're going to see it again. Somerville towards the near post. Oh, he nods it home, doesn't he? It's a bit of a shocker for the Brazilian. Nothing Matt Sells can do. He's only a yard or so out when he makes the contact at Murillo. Sells spreads himself and looks up quite puzzled, doesn't know what's happened. puts the pieces of the picture and the jigsaw together as he sees it's Murillo in front of him, and he's put West Ham in front.
Yeah, he certainly has. As you say, nothing that Sells can do about it. He's going for the ball, and I think he just gets in the way there in the end. Murillo cannons it past his own player. One of those Nottingham Forest players who maybe needs to find themselves this season. Was absolutely sensational last year, but hasn't been the same player really, and that own goal just about sums it up for him so far. It was Souček who got the header on at the near post, and that's what he's in the side to do as well. That height gives you such an advantage from set pieces.
It does, doesn't it? It just gives him something else. I'm not quite sure he's got that explosivity going forward as he used to, Thomas Souček, so he's a bit deeper in midfield, but from set pieces he's just got a real knack for knowing where the ball's going to be, and because he's got that height he can attack it. That's a terrible free kick from Nottingham Forest by Murillo. Kind of whipped it across field wide to Amari Hutchinson, but the ball was too strong. Well, maybe Hutchinson could have helped him out. He let the ball bounce and it bounced out of play.
Yep, certainly did. Not a great few moments then, is it really, for Murillo? He's just scored an own goal to give the opposition the lead, and then he puts a poor free kick out of play, and West Ham have got themselves a free kick now after Contatc goes down halfway inside the West Ham half. Sean Dyche belling out instructions. Mentioned about the pressure on Nuno Espirito Santo, but Sean Dyche is definitely under some himself at Nottingham Forest. It's been a real crazy season for them so far. Of course, Nuno Espirito Santo, one of three managers for Forest this season. Of course, with Ange Postecoglou making way, which seems a lifetime ago at this point, doesn't it, really?
Oh yeah, well, there's talk of maybe Postecoglou a potential replacement again for Nuno should things not work out at West Ham. The crazy world of Premier League management. It's amazing that West Ham's manager is the only manager who's lost a home game to them this season.
It certainly is. He was back the manager for that 3-0 loss back at the start of the season. It looked like West Ham were finally clicking into gear. It's not quite worked out that ever since, but they are clicking into gear so far this evening. 16 minutes gone at the London Stadium. It's still 1-0 to the home side after that own goal from Murillo. And Nottingham Forest now going in search of that equalising goal as Anderson picks it up just by the halfway line. Murillo will now drive over it. Goes for the forward pass to Igor Jesus. First time ball back to Murillo now. Jesus, well, it looked like he had a chance to turn. Instead he went for the backwards pass. Murillo frustrated by that one as well. Dominguez under pressure from Contatc and find Milinkovic, and now Aina out on the right. Under pressure from Somerville, who's just got a bit too much of the man there in the end. It will be a free kick for the away side. Somerville eager with the pressing, but not a little bit too eager with that chance. Forest again now have the ball with Dominguez, spreads it wide over towards Murillo. They're having most of the possession at the moment. It's just about what they can do with it. They go closest earlier on through that shot from Nico Williams from the edge of the area. It's a great save from Areola. They might be trying to force one more now as Dominguez picks it up from Hudson-Odoi. He finds Nico Williams up against Walker Peters. To his right waits Elliot Anderson. Doesn't go for the cross, finds Hudson-Odoi on the edge of the box. Fernandez presses him. So it's the pass back to Murillo. Cross comes in from deep. It's a good one as well to find Igor Jesus. Can he get it down and go for the shot? He can't. He goes for the pass back towards Hutchinson or Dominguez. And West Ham have intercepted, and they're on the counter-attack as well. And it's a potential 3-on-3 if they can play this right. Somerville still going. Eventually gets closed down by the Nottingham Forest defender and sandwiched in the end. It's a good tackle though, and Not Forest will now come forward instead.
Yeah, it should have been. He should have used a man to his right there, shouldn't he? A bit of a tunnel vision, but in his defence, it's one of the vagaries, isn't it, of the advantage rule where Castellanos would have been the man he was passing to, but he'd been taken out in back play by Ola Aina. We see Tony Harrington tell him not to do that again, but if you're telling him, is it not a yellow card? Maybe I'm old-fashioned, I don't know.
Definitely could be for that one.
But he's not doing it by accident, has he? That's what I mean.
Yeah, Walker Peters now with the ball down the right channel. It's a good one as well. It finds Bowen on the edge of the box. Ball comes in looking for Castellanos, headed away. Only as far though as Souček. He finds Walker Peters. Now Bowen again on that left foot, not closed down. Good ball in as well, looking for Castellanos. It bounces up into the air. Walker Peters brings it down. Souček with the half volley out towards Bowen. He gets in a little bit of a mix up with Walker Peters, but West Ham still somehow retain possession. Walker Peters now down the right. Good ball across goal. No one attacking it. And Forest eventually clear it through Milinkovic. Anderson will now find Hudson-Odoi, who's going to bring it away down the left. End-to-end stuff though at the moment. Here's Gibbs-White now, just past the halfway line, up against Mavropanos. Still going. Gibbs-White starts to check inside before going the other way. Finds Hudson-Odoi up towards the edge of the box now. Under pressure from Mavropanos. West Ham have just about got players back as Dominguez now takes charge. He'll go for the cross from deep. Looks for Igor Jesus. Probably wants Hutchinson a bit deeper in that position. Forest have still got the ball now with Aina in the final third. Over to Gibbs-White. He's been pretty quiet so far in this game. Edge of the box. Finds Hutchinson on his left foot. Digs the cross out. Headed away again though by Mavropanos. He's had a good start so far to this game, and Forest coming forward again. It'll be Hudson-Odoi. Cross is deflected. Can Hutchinson bring it down? He can't. It's all the way through, and Scales will get the clearance. Maria will pick it up, but a decent opportunity for both sides there.
Yes, you mentioned Morgan Gibbs-White's been quite quiet, hasn't he? I was thinking exactly the same. He's got a good goal against Aston Villa at the weekend, but didn't quite impact the game enough. Interesting how the midfield set up. We see Anderson keeps getting the ball with a player in front of him, and he's trying to direct traffic, but no one seems to be in the right positions. We see Oliveira down the right hand side, throwing as Somerville blocks. I think they miss Ibrahim Sangare in the middle of the park. Somebody who carries the ball really well, just gets some 10 yards further up the field, where both Dominguez and Ali Anderson, the good buzzing around players out, they pop around and they get the ball and give and goes and things like that, but neither of them are going to take opposition players out the game.
No, certainly not. Two players that maybe have the same styles as you allude to, Jack. It will now be Aina though to take this long throw-in, high and up into the air, again headed away though by Mavropanos, who's underneath everything it seems at the moment for West Ham. Castellanos tries to play it on, but Forest take control again. We're past the 20-minute mark at the London Stadium, and West Ham so far a goal to the good in this one against Forest. That Murillo own goal, the difference between the two sides, as Sells now comes far off his line to support this slow Forest attack. Anderson takes charge, nice ball towards Hutchinson on the right, goes the inside of Somerville. He's looking for the pass into the centre. He's not going to get it just yet, as it's Milinkovic now. Over towards Murillo. He'll go for the direct diagonal ball. It's a good one as well. Aina brings it down nicely. Under pressure now from Scales. Finds Hutchinson ahead of him. Now back to Aina. Anderson in space to his left, but Aina tries to go for the sort of fancy pass in the end to Hutchinson. It doesn't work out. West Ham haven't got hold of the ball yet. That's a nice touch from Dominguez to take himself inside. Forest now attacking again. Murillo gets there at a Bowen. Hudson-Odoi on the edge of the box will go for the left-footed strike. I think that must have taken a deflection in the end, or has that just gone out for a goal kick? Hudson-Odoi then back to his feet. I don't think it took a deflection in the end. It might have just been a really bad strike.
Yeah, nice turn initially, but it almost just got away from him, so he was stretching for the ball and leaning back, the former Chelsea man, and cut across it. See Sean Dyche check his watch. I think he'd be frustrated by the way side. Of course, they've conceded that own goal, but I would say they've probably been the better team. They've had the majority of the possession, but the ball's horseshoeing round a bit. There's no one. It's just not clicking. It's not really sticking with Igor Jesus, and it means that they are taking pot shots from distance, basically.
Yeah, certainly are. Certainly with Hudson-Odoi. It's on his weaker foot as well. It's always going to be tough from that position. He was always rising and ended up in the stands. Ball now back with Matt Sells, the goalkeeper. Goes direct this time. Jesus, well, he thinks he won the ball fairly there after shrugging off the challenge from Ollie Scales, but referee Harrington disagreeing, and West Ham will get themselves a free kick as we just see replays of the own goal once more. Definitely will be going down as an own goal. I don't know if that's going in from Souček. Might go towards the dubious goals panel after the game, but for now it has been given as an own goal by the Nottingham Forest centre-half. And with that, we are a quarter of the way through this game at the London Stadium. It's fairly even at the start, but West Ham taking charge with that own goal from Murillo. It's 1-0 to the Irons, and it will be Jack to take you through to half-time.
Yeah, thanks Josh. Gibbs-White might have a bit of space though, he can't quite reach it, but Nico Williams can. He's got Callum Hudson-Odoi right on the left-hand side. The one-cap England winger cuts inside, teases the ball in. Mavropanos just about gets it away. Packed down the edge of the box, takes too long. Then Anderson gets a real boot from Kyle Walker-Peters, but the advantage is there because Nico Williams has it. Low ball into Debo, stoops, half heads it away. I got Jesus' cross fizzes away. Another in and out. Too strong for Somerville. And we'll give it back to Jesus, who looks up, realises he's the centre forward, so there's no one in the box. Tries to cross it because Hutchinson was making a late dart. Doesn't work out. Mavropanos will blast it long. Looking left to right for Jared Bowen, who, similar to Morgan Gibbs-White, actually has been quite quiet so far in this game. Nico Williams isn't happy with his defensive colleagues there. I think he felt he was exposed. Imagine Lucas Paquetá is the nominal number 10, I guess, but he's playing quite deep, isn't he? And Souček maybe trying to get those late runs, the trademark from the Czech. But I think maybe Forest are struggling to figure out who to pick up, because Castellanos isn't really playing like a target man either. He's drifting around a bit, so Mario Milinkovic struggling to occupy themselves as Todibo has it. Back to Matches Fernandez, excellent. And that's August 3-0 win. Mavropanos almost overruns it. Dominguez's eyes lit up, but just about gets the way of the Greek centre half. Paquetá will go back to Todibo. Frenchman with his socks rolled down, gives it to Ollie Scales, who was perhaps at fault for Raul Jimenez's winner at London Stadium a couple of weeks ago, but I think others who watched it also picked out that neither the centre halves were marking the 6'3" Mexican centre forward at the time, so maybe Scales could have been helped out by his colleagues as Walker Peters extended running the team. Wan-Bissaka away at AFCON. Decent ball down the right hand side for Bowen to chase. He's outnumbered by the Nottingham Forest defenders, but Rio, all he can do is the heavy touch and out for another corner kick.
Yeah, it sort of makes that look towards his other defenders as if to say, what else can I do in that situation? He's been beaten for pace there. Williams as well gets the wrong side of Jared Bowen. Rio comes in with the touch, can't do anything about it as Bowen gets himself in the way of him and the ball, lets it out for a corner. Smart play there from the West Ham captain. And West Ham, we've already seen in this game, looking a threat from set pieces. Can they double their lead from another one?
Yeah, I think we're looking towards the near post again. That's where it goes. Mavropanos there. Sells does well to palm it away. Matches Fernandez with a bouncing shot. Scales, who took the corner kick, gives it back now to Paquetá, who's got 6 bodies to aim for. It's a deep cross and his catching practice. Really good by Matt Sells. You mentioned he's back in the side this evening. John Victor injured. Angus Gunn, third choice goalkeeper. Interesting third choice goalkeeper. Fraser Forster just signed for Bournemouth, hasn't he, on a temporary spell as Callum Hudson-Odoi goes down the left hand side back to Morgan Gibbs-White. We just opened up for him nicely there. I thought he was going to have a go at goal, so he goes forward to Jesus. Now Anderson is telling Dominguez to put some pace on the ball. Ball goes in, Jesus heads it down. Didn't have much to work with there. It was hammered away by Mavropanos. Castellanos will give chase. Hammered away by Matt Sells. Really good starting position to Debo. He just slips just about 2 pokes it away from Nico Williams. Scales waited and waited and waited at the expense of just a throw-in at the end, like Walker Peters, extended running the side for Scales with Diouf at AFCON with Senegal. Was that a foul? No, it wasn't. Somerville, good play by him. He finds Castellanos. Paquetá to his right hand side. Castellanos just too firm as he tries to play Somerville in. Milinkovic did well to get back and will not clear it because Bowen has stopped him going for a throw. West Ham got good territory here. Paquetá, Walker Peters, Matches Fernandez just inside the Forest half. West Ham in the cloud blue shirts going right to left as we look at it. White shirts this evening for Forest. Blue shorts and socks. White shorts and socks for West Ham. Souček wide on the right hand side. Ball into the box. Somerville misses it. And Castellanos misses his kick. I think he came off his shin. Pretty much square. And to safety. But tails up now for the Hammers. If you are joining us, they lead 1-0. And just play with. It's amazing what a goal can do. Give them playing a bit more confidence.
Yeah, they certainly are. It's probably the best West Ham have played in quite some time this season. A few moments there for Castellanos. Firstly, getting too much on the passage, you say. Nice idea as he sees Somerville making the run behind him, and then with that ball into the box there, I'm not sure if he's just not expecting it, or if he's trying something else, but there was the chance to get the strike away. It doesn't quite work out in the end, but the signs are good at the moment for West Ham. Nottingham Forest responded well, didn't they, after the opening goal? They put them under some extended pressure, nothing really coming from it. And West Ham now in a comfortable moment in this match. But we've seen them this season plenty of times, going into the lead. That game against Brighton springs to mind quite recently. Going into the lead and not being able to hold out. Can they do it this time?
Switch of play. Souček looking for Somerville. Alorena has the situation under control. We'll go forward now. The Forest at right back. Jesus is making a run for him. And a lovely ball into Jesus. Touches it away. And then gives it back to Aina. I thought it was going to be a poor ball, but he's got good pace, hasn't he? Aina. Really underrated player. Plays off both feet. Just all looks so easy for him. He's such a natural footballer. Doesn't work out this time for Forest. We see Tony Harrington just having a word with I think he's actually Aina, who's no stranger to a yellow card. And it's the maybe kicking the ball away or not allowing it to return to where the ref thought it should, but Jared Bowen against Nico Williams, that's turned into a battle. The focus is on Morgan Gibbs-White at the moment. We're seeing the average positions of Nottingham Forest players, and Gibbs-White is only just inside the West Ham half. He's not been able to get into the game. Scales moves it long, headed up by Elliot Anderson. Murray Hutchinson tries to help it on. I think Anderson's if he stays fit, is almost certain to feature for England, maybe from the start at the World Cup. Morgan Gibbs-White is one of those players who's on the fringes of things. If he's got maybe half a foot in, Jared Bowen's probably got a foot and a leg in, hasn't he? He's not guaranteed a spot, but Gibbs-White maybe. Well, I don't think it's unfair to say that his form often reflects Forest, and he's just out of form at the moment. He scored at the weekend, a good goal as well, but he's not had the same involvement in matches, and maybe that's why Forest form's suffering.
Yeah, he's definitely the talisman. He's the captain of the club as well, isn't he? Which obviously plays a big impact on the rest of the team. You think of that England squad as well. I think the main issue that Morgan Gibbs-White finds himself in is that there's a lot of good players in that role. There's Jude Bellingham, Morgan Rogers has been playing brilliant recently as well, and seems to be liked by Thomas Tuchel. Whereas for Elliot Anderson, he's in a position where England are a little bit short on players at the moment. There's him and Adam Wharton, who seem like they're going to be the most likely to pair Declan Rice in the summer. But yeah, those two players for Nottingham Forest, one's maybe their talisman, maybe the reason as well why they're struggling so much.
Yeah, well, you think Morgan Rogers, I think what he gives you is, again, that ability to carry the ball, and he's happy to run by Harry Kane, whereas I think Gibbs-White's almost the most similar to Jude Bellingham they're going to find, in terms of he likes to find those bits of space and kind of playing not the game at his own pace, but letting the game come to him at times, whereas Rogers is more direct. He wants to run forward, whereas Gibbs-White wants to find that space and get involved where he wants to do it, and it's just not working for him at the moment. Tati Castellanos on debut for West Ham this evening. A decent impact so far. The Hammers 1-0 up as Jesus high foots into the chest of Matheus Fernandes. See the other new West Ham striker, Pablo, in from Gil Vicente. 10 goals in 13 appearances so far this season. £20 million.
They could have maybe gone and won it. He brought Callum Wilson off around the 70-minute mark, and it got quite a bad reaction from the crowd. West Ham thinking they should be playing a striker. They've now got a focal point. There's no excuse to not play a striker anymore after they've just spent so much money on two of them. It maybe just has the signs of a bit of a panic buy with the fees that they've paid for both these players. Don't have the greatest goal records, and especially in the Premier League where they're so unproven as well. But it might work the other way. They're unproven entities at this level. Other teams don't know too much about them. That might be a problem for Forest this evening, coming up against a player they've never come up against before. They won't have as much data on them as well as other Premier League strikers. It's maybe a little bit harder to deal with.
Yes, and I think the situation West Ham are in 4 points from safety at the start of this game. Only won 3 times all season. As things stand, they're a point behind Nottingham Forest, who are 17th. West Ham's 18th. If things would stay as they are, but yeah, the way the position West Ham are in at the moment, nothing matters apart from the next 7. I'm going to say it are too good to go down. However, when you look at the table, there are a few teams who look a bit too good to go down. Everton are 12th. They're only 5 points off the top 6. Spurs are down there. Crystal Palace, Conference League, they had a good season. You got to feel they're going to get it together. I think it might almost be a bit of a last dance at Selhurst Park in the next few months, with doubts over Oliver Glasner, Mark Gahey, etc. Bournemouth, out of contract manager in the summer. How are they going to sign players in January? It's a real mix of things that is going on at the moment. And we got to say, Leeds, who are unbeaten in 6, aren't they? They're at Newcastle tomorrow. You can catch their game on this service. This is an interesting round of fixtures, because I saw actually from the Championship, Sheffield United, Chris Wilder, FA Cup this weekend. After the game on New Year's Day when they played Leicester, it was asked, are they going to do any business? He said, you'll find out by Charlton on Saturday the 17th, almost discounting the game in the FA Cup. Their fixture against Oxford was called off, but I think there is a bit of that going on. It's been a busy few weeks, of course, and it's almost a 10-day break with the FA Cup. You imagine a lot of fringe players will be getting run-outs in the Cup, and a few players might be heading off on holiday. You feel who've played a lot of minutes, and a few more players. This is the meat of the transfer window. They've got 10 days, these clubs, to get a few in and get a few out.
Yeah, they do. It's a really busy time. They've just come off, possibly the most hectic schedule in the football season, with the winter and the Christmas games, and how many fixtures there is. A few of those sides down the bottom as well, looking a little bit tired. They'll use that FA Cup game as an excuse just to put as many fringe players on, as you say, rest all the main ones. Obviously, these midweek fixtures crucial, as well as Forest Tottenham with Hutchinson just gets too much in the end of Tadebo. Dominguez now trying to bring it forward as Tadebo sends it out for a throw-in. But yeah, crucial times in the season. Leeds unbeaten, as you're saying, 6 or 7 games now, looking really good. Maybe fancy that one to end though, as they play Newcastle tomorrow.
Yes, Newcastle won the last 2 games, haven't they? Aina into Anis, it's a nice 1-2. Aina, first time balling's not the best. Matches Fernandes, doesn't clear his line, gives it to Somerville, who's down by the corner flag. He does enough there. There's Crescencio Somerville. Tati Castellanos, probably a foul he's given away hundreds of times in his career, the oldest trick in the book.